Hello, and welcome to another episode of But Why, the podcast that's all about digging into big questions and tricky topics via honest conversations. This week, we're going to be looking at confidence with Jessica Jones, an award-winning blogger, confidence and self-love advocate, and motivational comedian. I love that description of you. She runs a popular Instagram account called The Fat Funny One and podcast Say It With Your Whole Chest, where she shares her inspiring journey from self-loathing to acceptance and inner confidence. She is not afraid to bear it all. In fact, you really have been bearing it all on Instagram. I've seen a lot of your boobs in the last couple of days. They are fantastic. Jess shows women they can love themselves at any size with stretch marks, scars, cellulite and all. She's a firm believer that true self-love is attainable for anyone, and a happy oversharer of her perfectly imperfect life in Bedfordshire with her husband and I'll say it again, 4 kids, including a baby and puppy. What an intro. And it's so true. That is you.
That was like a proper epic intro. I'm
Well,
a badass. That
you
sounded so
are.
good.
And also, like, the fact that and her 4 kids, I mean, that in itself is astounding because I find it quite weird. We had my third and your second at the same time, I think. And then you've gone on to have 2 more babies.
I literally it makes me laugh when everyone was like, "Oh, in the pandemic, I learned how to knit and I crocheted and I started a business." I'm like, I just popped out like a billion kids. Like, there was like
And
nothing
when
else
I
to do.
last saw you in real life, you had 2 girls, and now you've got 4, and you've added 2
Yeah,
boys to that mix.
yeah. So I've got 2 girls, 2 boys, a dog, 2 cats, and husband.
So that
It's good times in my house.
you also wrote a book in the pandemic.
I don't, just know, everyone keeps asking me how I did it, and I can't really recall, which probably means that I was just like
Yeah.
in the zone and half asleep. But I work a lot at night. That's kind of like the only time
Mhm.
I've got it, which is great, but not great. And I go, burn out a lot and all of that
Yeah.
really poor stuff. But yeah, you just do it. I think when you're excited about something and you want to do it, you'll find the time and the energy in there.
And actually, I think for me, weirdly, in the newborn years, although I was out of my head on tiredness, that I think it's quite primal, this kind of
Mm.
desire to to put something out in the world, to protect them, to earn money. You kind of go into an otherworldly state, don't you?
Yeah, and I think also I was so desperate to do it. Like I had this book inside me for so long, and then I finally got the opportunity to write it. It just kind of all poured out. Like I was like, I need to get it done. I need to get it
Yeah.
done, and I was just so determined to do it. And I think to prove to them that I could do it, to prove to myself that I could do it. To not that I necessarily had to prove anything to anyone else, but I did also want to prove to people who probably thought it was impossible for me to do, that I could, and it wasn't so impossible. I only had 3 kids at that point. I think but
It's
by the
not
time I
lonely.
submitted, yeah, but I only had 3, it's fine. When I submitted my final manuscript, I think I had 3, and I just found out I just found out I was pregnant with my 4th. So I didn't have 4 at that time. So that does make a bit of a difference. Like,
It doesn't really, but
no.
yeah, you can. It's impressive. We'll just say it's impressive, very impressive. Now, I usually start with 3 daft-ish questions. How
Go
are
for
you
it.
really? What star sign are you? And what's your favourite crisp? And I know you'll be passionate about that last one.
Oh my god. I've literally my head's like, oh my god, crisp, crisp, crisp. Okay. So the first one, how tired is
Mm.
probably the best description of how I feel. And touched out.
Mm.
Like all the kids are just like constantly touching me all the time. And I adore them and I love them, but oh my god, will everyone just stop touching me?
That is such a real feeling, isn't it?
And you feel bad saying it because I know, and I don't know whether it's just me. I always think, oh, but God forbid there's a time that I won't be able to hug them or squeeze them or kiss them, and you almost feel guilty for not wanting anyone to touch you for 2 minutes. But I genuinely just want to go for a poo on my own for
Mm.
2 minutes without someone asking me a question. Um, but yeah, so touched out and tired is probably the
Mhm.
best description of how I feel in the minute. I'm a Gemini, which weirdly enough, I just bought a book. Oh my gosh, look, I just bought a book on being a Gemini,
Yes, I
which I
need it.
just opened yesterday. And it's something about like looking at how to, looking at your zodiac sign and like how to play to your strengths sort of
Mhm.
thing. So I got that recently. So I'm a Gemini. And crisp, oh my God.
Yeah, you're big on this. I know that.
Oh, mate. I genuinely, this is, I'm going to find this harder than choosing my favorite child. Favorite
I know
child is
you are.
easy, but Christmas is really hard.
You
I
can
don't
choose a
know.
few. We can stretch the
I
rules if
can.
it'll make
It
it
kind of depends on the vibe, right? If I'm feeling dead posh, right, then it's like Tyrells or Sensations, because that's like top tier Christmas posh crisp.
Mhm.
That's like up there. But if I'm going for an all round, it depends. Because then if I want a crisp sandwich, I have to have a prawn cocktail or Walkers.
Walkers, yes.
That's standard for a crisp sandwich. But I'm probably going to throw it back a little bit, and I really like Skips.
Wow. But, I mean, you probably need about 4 packets because a
Oh
packet
god,
of
yeah,
packet of Skips, literally, you've eaten it and you're like, "Well, I've only
yeah.
just
When I
begun."
talk crisps, I mean multi-pack, like multi-pack for a single person. I never, and I hands down don't think I've categorically ever eaten a single packet of single serving crisps on their own.
No, and
Like, I
especially
genuinely don't think
Skips.
that's physically possible. Yesterday, I ate 3 packets of Monster Munch.
Yeah, but you're in the eye of the storm. You know, food literally just doesn't touch the sides in the bit that you're in. Because how old's your youngest?
4 months.
Oh my word, you're in the worst bit. 16
Yeah.
weeks with each of them. I lost my mind.
He's, like, really not sleeping, and I was doing
Mm,
that whole, "Oh, he's quite a good sleeper." He's like, "No, soz, false sense of security, mum."
mm,
So he's really regressing a little bit, which is, it is what it is. I do think though, because someone said to me the other day, "Oh my gosh, 4," like, everyone always goes, "Oh my gosh, 4," and I actually think 1 is the hardest, and I say that because when you have 1, you have no fucking clue what you're
making it up.
doing.
No,
It's the first time you've ever done it. Things like, you're not going to sleep, but you really don't understand the depths of the sleep
no.
deprivation. You've got no real knowledge or
Mm,
expectation, and
mhm.
it's really hard. And so I think naturally when you have more, I won't say there's a massive like motorbike at some house. When you have more, your confidence and your expectations are managed
Mm,
slightly better,
mm,
which I think actually makes it easier. So
mm.
only when you have more, I think the practicality is harder, like getting them all in the
Yeah,
car or getting everybody ready. Like when you have more, it's just practical things that I
yeah,
think are more difficult. But your confidence and your ability to, I think,
yeah.
know when something's wrong or trust your instinct, all of that stuff grows. So it is more difficult from a practical perspective. I actually think having 1 was
The
the
hardest.
toughest.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
brutal. First of all, my rule is, when they're little, I think you have to add a half an hour for each child for getting out the door. That's what I remember when we went for 2 to 3, and that seems massive, but really, I mean, we now need really an hour and 15 run up to get out of the house.
And
You've
yours are
got
all old enough to, like, go
Yeah,
to the
they are.
toilet on their own and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, they
Yeah.
are. Yeah, that's what's really interesting when you're saying the touched out, which I vividly remember, but so Greta is 4, as you know, because 'cause you're that's the same as your second, and it's like, I'm now having to persuade people to cuddle me, and it's like, "Oh, this is a real," especially my 9-year-old, "Please give me a cuddle." But
Yeah,
yeah,
so
the
our kids are the similar age. So Sophia's 9, Isabella will be 4 next week, and then Jason will be 2 at the end of March, and then Theo is 4 months.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't really, and yeah, that you're right about, which is actually gonna lead us nicely into the topic, but the confidence thing, because yeah, 4 months, I now know I lose my mind because your adrenaline runs out and the kids don't sleep. But that, for the first time round, is absolute crisis, whereas that every other time we're like, "Yep, here we go, ride this out."
Exactly.
No expectation that I'm gonna sleep ever again. So if I do, that's a
Bonus.
bonus. And more, I think ultimately you learn that babies are pretty robust,
Mm.
really, you know.
It's your confidence in yourself as a parent, I think, as well.
Yeah,
Like when I first had So, and it's funny because when I talk about confidence, everyone's immediate thing, and I guess it does. It started my journey is that I just take my kit off and I don't care what my body looks like. But actually, building your confidence has such a massive impact on so many different areas of your
mm,
life. So my career has skyrocketed because of my confidence, and not necessarily my social media career, but just outside of that, and all the work I do outside of that, and my parenting choices and making those choices and how I
mm,
feel about being a mum. All of those things play a huge part in how I feel about myself and who I am. And my confidence has changed those things. So juggling the kids now, I'm more confident to, manage them when it
mm,
gets stressful, know
mm,
how to manage myself, or even silly things like go to the supermarket. I'm more confident to own it when people are looking at me because my kids are losing their absolute
yeah,
goddamn minds in the supermarket. I'm far more confident now to just be like, so what, mate?
I'm
It
trying
is
my
what it
best.
is. I'm doing my best. Like, I can't do anything else. Whereas 1 kid ago or 2 kids ago, I would have been like mortified, and
Mm,
I am still a little bit, but I've really let go of the shame. And
mm.
so much of that is part of your confidence journey. So I think it does play a huge part in so many other areas of your life that people don't necessarily realize. It's all just the immediate, I could just wear a bikini on the beach. And that is incredible. But there's so much more to it than that.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I was actually writing something to someone, a friend of mine who's about to become a mother, and I was like, the best thing you can do is know that you know how to parent that child better than
Hmm.
anyone else. And that is such an easy thing to write 9 years down the line. But took me a long time to realize that. And actually that applies to everything, doesn't it? You need to
Yeah.
know that you need to just have faith in yourself.
Yeah, it's trusting. Funny, one of my friends is having a baby, and I said to them, they're a couple, both of them, and I said, trust your instincts.
It's
And
the
I was
one.
like, I know I'm your mate, and I've had 4 kids, and you can ring me and ask me anything you want, but that doesn't mean I'm right, because they're my children, and it's how I've parented them. But you know your child better than anyone. You might not think you do, and you know yourself. So just trust your instinct, because it will tell you what you need to know, but be
Mm,
confident enough to trust it. And that's the difference, because we can often know our gut is telling us something but not have the confidence to follow through with that feeling.
mm,
And that's what you need to do, have the confidence and the courage to say, no, actually, I'm going to go with what I'm feeling here, and this doesn't feel right, or no, I'm going to go with this decision because that feels better.
mm.
And it's having the confidence to actually go through with that instinct that's saying to you, are you sure about that?
Yeah, and it is there. It really is there. And I always think the times when I ignore my intuition on stuff is the time when I genuinely regret something. If you
Oh,
do something
100%.
based on your intuition, it goes wrong. You're like, well, that was just something I've learnt. But you always know. I think about it even when a work opportunity comes in, my instant feeling in my body is whether that's the right one or not. And then you
Yeah.
go, oh, look at the fee, or I'll look at the time frame, or look at this, and you twist your own arm. And it's just like, same with everything, isn't it?
Yeah, you do, and it's just, again, having the confidence to say, "No, I'm not at this time," or "No, I don't wanna do that," or "I'm not comfortable with that." But we don't have that little bit in between our instinct and the action
Mm,
that says, "Just do it." And that's what I want people to build on, is trusting themselves enough to say, "No, actually, I am gonna say no to that because it's okay, and I'm confident enough to own that decision in myself, and that's what I'm gonna do."
So, I mean, when you think about confidence, is there like a nifty way of encapsulating what that means, or is it too broad to put into words?
Probably too broad, and I think I probably should have nailed it by now, right? Surely I wrote a whole book about it. Like, having a little summary would be like a
Be the
really
thing.
good thing. But I think it's too broad because it means different things to different people to some degree. But owning it, and I know that's the title of the book, but to me that is kind of the epitome of being confident, is owning it. You own the decisions that you make, you own the position that you're in, you own the circumstance, you own your body, all of those things. You own
Mm,
it, you're happy about it, you accept it, and you go with it. And that, to me, is why, I guess, part of the reason why it's the title. There's a bit of a story behind that, but that to me is confidence. It's being comfortable,
mm.
just saying, yeah, this is me, this is it, this is a decision, I'm going with it.
Yeah, and the thing is, we can all talk a good game, but there is such, and actually, I do think loads of people are blagging at confidence.
Oh yeah, fake it till you make it, everyone says
Yeah,
that, but
yeah,
actually,
go on.
I don't know if it does work sometimes, but not all the time.
No, when is it something that you feel you've always had?
Oh, hell no. Like, I wish, and I think that's why I implore people to read the book, especially if they've only come into my life or seen me at this point of my life, the last few years, where their immediate reaction is, oh, she's probably always been like that. Like,
Mm.
cool, it's easy for you. And I'm like, no. And actually, someone commented yesterday on probably one of the posts of me in my pants on the internet, because that's standard behavior now for me. Um, and they said, this video means so much more to me now after reading your book, because they
Ah,
now can recognize the journey from start to here, and are like, this, just to see it now, I appreciate this so much more. And I was like, that's what I want people to understand. And when I say it's obtainable for anyone, it's not because I'm just like, yeah, I've had it all my life, it's great. It's because if I can kind of drag myself out of the pits of self-loathing and being self-deprecating, and
mm,
like in so many areas of my life, whether it's about my body, about my work. I used to sit in my car outside one of my workplaces and cry because the girls in the office were really mean to me. And I didn't have the confidence to just walk in. And I'd literally sit there and cry and cry and cry and cry. And there was one girl in the office called Kelly who would come to my car in the morning and literally drag me out my car and say, "Come on, just sit with me, you'll be all right." And so I think to go from that person to being the person on the internet who literally is in their pants dancing and is just like, "Say what you want, I don't care, this is who
Mhm.
I am, I'm here," is such a huge shift. And so the book kind of goes through that journey with you. So I'm kind of explaining my journey, but also giving really practical things, because I think it's all good and well everyone going, "Yeah, I'm really confident now, look at me," with no action. Like, so people go,
Mm,
"Okay, so how do I do that? Like, where's the how?"
mm,
So people go, "You can do this, you can do this," but don't tell you how to do it. So it's great everyone going, "Transform your life." Okay, tell me how I do that. Like,
mm.
where's the, so each chapter has real life tasks you can do and guided tasks where you can really actually take the action it takes to take a step forward in your journey. And they're all things that I've done. Throughout the book, I did a lot of research, and so I've added things to make it a bit more in depth and probably better. But they're real life tasks you can do, because it's all good and well reading my story, but until you actually know how I've done it and can adapt that for yourself, it's kind of pointless.
Yeah, I think I've actually written that on my notes. That was one of the things I like best because yes, we can follow good role models and we can read self-help and we can believe in the premise of self-confidence. But when it's all said and done and it's you looking in the mirror or you waiting to go into work, are you embodying that? And I love the fact that you have to do something, and also love the kind of everydayness of it.
Yeah.
It's like it's start now, the limiting self-beliefs and then gathering the evidence opposing that. I have a folder on my phone which is like a pep talk kind of folder, which is just all screen grabs of nice messages, nice emails, which isn't like feeding my ego. It's just that when my brain tells to tell me a whole load of horrible stuff, it's like, no, there's proof here of
It's the evidence.
yeah,
We need the evidence that affirms what we're thinking or feeling, which is sometimes why it's easier to believe the bad stuff when other people say it, because the bad stuff people say don't really have an effect on you unless you already have that belief yourself and they're just affirming what you already
yeah.
believe. So if someone says to me now, oh, I don't know. So back in the day, if someone said to me, "Oh, you're such a fat cow," I would have been like mortified, because one, at that point in my life, I thought being fat was a negative thing. And because it affirmed the insecurity I had about my weight already.
Mhm.
Now people say it, and I'm like, you realize it's like my whole brand name. Clearly, I don't give a crap. Like,
Yeah,
so now it's very different, because they're not affirming an already insecurity I hold. All they're doing is just saying words
yeah.
that I'm like, okay, cool. It's one of the reasons why when people judge our parenting and our mothering, we feel so vulnerable and shame filled and awful and have like very little confidence, because it's the one thing we all feel guilty and already
Mhm.
questioning about
Mm.
ourselves constantly.
Yeah,
So when someone says to you, "Oh, I think she's a really awful mother,"
yeah,
we're like, oh, it's like gut wrenching, because it's affirming that real deep mum guilt insecurity
yeah,
we already feel about, are we messing up our kids? Like, are
yeah.
we doing this right? So for me, when people, then what I try and say is reframe those things for yourself. So like you've got that folder. It's not necessarily because you're wanting to be validated by other people, but what they're doing is affirming the positive things that you're
Mm.
trying to believe about yourself. So it's evidencing that for you, which makes it more real, and it makes it more, you can accept it easier
Mm.
because there's actual evidence to say it's fine. So it's just affirming those beliefs that you're trying to now believe about yourself. I'm a good person, I'm a great mom, I look good. Those things are, when other people then say it to you, it just affirms it for you,
Yeah.
rather than being the complete, you're not getting complete validation externally from other
No.
people. And that's it's hard, because there's a really thin line between being validated by everybody else and actually just having them affirm what you're trying to believe about yourself.
Yes. Yeah, you have to really check in on that. I mean, I'm wondering if there's a way to know in yourself. I guess it's that craving kind of feeling. It's if you can't enjoy something for yourself or can't back your own achievements without putting it out externally. And actually, I mean, I don't want to go too down this line because it's where we always end up. But with social media, I'm making some really clear decisions for myself recently. So it was my birthday. It was my 40th
I
on
know, happy
Sunday.
birthday. I did see that. Happy
Thank
birthday.
you very much. And I really consciously didn't share it on social media, not because I want to do, and I said it was my birthday, but I didn't show loads of pictures because I was like, I just really want to enjoy this just for me in the moment, and automatically by putting it out, that something's changed in that. And I know this is a
Mm.
bit different, but you know what I mean? You have to be really try and feel things in your own body for yourself.
Yeah, and that's, I always think I have to question it. So I think we instinctively also know deep down what we're feeling or thinking.
Mm,
And a prime example of that, and a really good example of that, is if you can't decide what to wear, for example. So you've got two outfit choices, you're not sure which one. And so rather than just making a decision, you send it to your best mate and you're like, which
mm.
one shall I wear? And then they go, oh, wear the red dress. And really you're like, oh, I don't want to wear that.
Mhm.
I really
You
wanted to wear
already
the other one.
know.
You knew instinctively what you wanted to do, but you
Mm,
just didn't have the confidence. It's that middle bit to follow through with that decision that that's the one you wanted to wear. Because what you were doing is then going, oh, but if I wear this, so and so might think this about this dress. Because then it all suddenly becomes
who are
about
you
everybody
dressing for?
else. Yeah. So you ask someone else, and then either they affirm the decision that you really knew deep down. So either they say, yeah, wear the black one, and you go, yes, I knew it. That's the one I wanted to wear. Or they tell you to wear the opposite, and you go, oh, okay. And then you're not sure, which to me just proves you did know. You
Yeah,
did know. And what you were looking for was someone to affirm it, not necessarily validate it for you. But if you're in a position where you're sending it to them because you genuinely don't want to wear either, and you don't know, and the only decision is going to be from them. And even if that outfit makes you uncomfortable, you're just going to wear it because they told you to, then your whole feelings of validation and self worth sit outside of yourself.
yeah.
And you haven't got that part of you that is instinctively telling you that's what you want to wear or that's what you want to do. Um, and that example is so, for me, so relatable because I've probably sent countless outfits to my friends going, shall I wear this? I don't know if I should wear this. But I know now, if I've genuinely got a choice of two things I like, the second they tell me which one, I'm like, okay, the one that I really wanted to wear is this one
And
because
I
I
could
know.
think it goes back to that same thing I said about the work email. It's the same thing on a menu, right? I I know as soon as I look at a menu what I want to eat, and then if, a whole load of other dialogue comes in, it's just like I really now try and go with that gut feeling. You know when you open your other than sometimes when you just lose your head with your outfit and you just
Yeah, of
literally throw
course.
clothes all over, which I do a lot less now actually, mainly because you haven't got time to think about your outfit anymore.
And I
Uh
wear the same pair of jeans like every single day.
and I'll wear that clean thing, or I'll get the not clean thing out of the wash basket.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you do know what you want to wear, like, whatever outfit comes into my head, and you've got to ask yourself what voices come into your mind when you're persuading yourself out of that.
Yeah, and why do you wanna wear it? Do you wanna wear it because it's comfortable and you think you look good, or are you wearing it because you want everyone else to think you look good?
Mhm.
And in that respect, like, what's the point? Because you could wear the outfit that you feel absolute 10 out of 10 at, you go out, and I guarantee there's gonna be someone who doesn't like it. So just wear what you wanna wear
Yeah.
anyway, and that's what I've really learned now. I had a yellow jumpsuit that I absolutely adored, and I wore it, and I put a picture up, and someone told me I looked like a Teletubby. I'll never forget. And I replied, and it was at that point that I knew how far I'd come in my
Mhm.
journey, because I replied and I was like, "Then don't buy it and wear it and look like a Teletubby, but if I look like a Teletubby, I look like a
Maybe
damn
this is
sexy Teletubby, I'm down."
yeah,
Like,
maybe that's the vibe I'm after.
yeah, who cares? But I like it. I was comfortable. Maybe I
Mm,
did look at it. I don't care. It was, and I knew at that point I'd
something had
really come
changed.
far. Yeah, because it genuinely didn't bother me at all. And to this day, I genuinely laugh about it. And they didn't actually say it in a horrible way. They were kind of, which I don't know if that's just backhanded compliment, but um,
Mm,
I know now how far I've come when those sorts of things just kind of bounce
mm.
off. That's not to say I'm immune to it. There are still things that bother me, and I think people think I'm confident 24/7, and no, absolutely not.
But I don't know about you, but yeah, I'm definitely not 10 out of 10 confident, but you're right. I know that I'm much more robust and more resilient because, yeah, like someone go, "Oh, you look knackered." It's like, yeah, damn right I look knackered. I'm really tired.
'Cause I am
I'm
tired.
really, really
Like,
tired. You're right. It's like I've had comments, well, she turns up on Instagram looking like that. I'm just turning up looking like I actually look. You can't win. Do you want
you
me to
can't, because
come
then if you've got makeup
polished?
on and you've done
Yeah.
up, someone's gonna be like, "Oh, she's always overdressed." You can't. There's just no way in this world to please everybody.
Mm,
But what we do is focus so much on pleasing as many people as we can. We don't please ourselves. Like, that's the only person at this point in time now that I give a crap about.
mm.
Like, even my kids, like Sophia might be like, "Oh my gosh, mummy, that top is so bright. You shouldn't wear that." You're 9. Like, leave you piss
Yeah,
off with
we've
your fashion
just got to that
choices.
that you're a bit embarrassing vibe. Actually, I'm really cool. Do you mind?
Yeah,
And
I'm
maybe I'm
like,
not anymore,
"Coolest."
but
That's what I said. Although one of her friends was like, "Oh my god, your mum's so cool. She's on YouTube." I was like, "Right? Like you've got the cool mum, and you're out here telling me I can't wear
They
this."
don't want the cool mum, though. They want the
No,
quiet,
absolutely not. They
not
do. They
making a
want the
scene
quiet,
mum.
nice one. Um, not the one who wears her pajamas on the school run, like me. But she says that, and I just think, oh, whatever. But it's about knowing that of yourself. Like,
Mm,
how do you feel about yourself? And it's not about pleasing anyone. And we live in just a society in any aspect of our lives where we're just taught to please everybody, our parents, our bosses, our, friends, neighbors, be a good person, be humble, be kind, be loving, don't be impolite, even if someone's horrible to you,
mm.
even if your boss shouts at you, but they're your boss, we're just constantly told to never speak up for ourselves or be confident enough to speak up for ourselves. And so we just end up being people pleasers
Mm.
all the time. And then it just affects everything we do and say. And I just didn't want to be that person anymore.
And the problem is, I think with people pleasing is then you get into resentment because you're so
Oh,
busy trying
100%.
to please everybody else, do what your boss wants, do fit in, da da da. And then when you feel shit out of it, you blame everybody else because you've not shown up as yourself or not being yourself. And then that resentment is possibly the most toxic thing that you can let into your life, isn't it?
Yeah, I think resentment from an anger, because for me that really builds a lot of rage and angry feelings. It was funny because this week I was in therapy. My therapist was like, Everything I feel I just put to anger. Oh, I'm
Mm.
angry about that. I'm angry. I'm angry." And she was like, she sent me this wheel of emotions. She was like, "You realize there's like a billion other emotions out there, Des.
Anything
Like,
else?
you're not just angry at everything."
I don't feel angry.
Yeah, I was like, "But I'm angry about that." And she's like, "But you're not angry." No, no, it made me ragey. I was angry. And she's like, "Actually, you were disappointed or
Sad.
frustrated or
Mm.
irritable or let down." And I was like, "Oh, there are other words. There are other
Yeah.
words to describe how I'm feeling." But resentment for me brings up rage. It brings up that real bitter, angry feeling that you feel because you feel held back
Mm.
when you feel resentful for someone. Whether that's because they've held you back from making a decision or made you make a decision that you didn't really want to make. And it's horrible.
And
And
actually,
people don't
probably that
realize that.
rage is at yourself.
Oh, and we project it onto other people.
Yeah.
And you're rageful at yourself because you knew better. You knew
Mm.
that wasn't the decision you wanted to
Mm.
make. You knew. So again, even if I come back down to the really simple choose what to wear, someone tells you wear the red one and you go, so you wear it. And then all night you're uncomfortable
Mm.
and frustrated. And then you're angry. You're
Yeah.
angry at yourself for wearing it. You're angry at them because they're all comfortable and happy in their outfits and you're not. And I know it's a really simple example and analogy to use, but it's so true. Like that's how we end up feeling. And then we don't feel ourselves because we can't bring ourselves to, and it's exhausting trying to be or pretend to feel comfortable to please other people or to be anyone other than yourself. Like it's
There's
genuinely
yeah,
exhausting.
and it's never gonna get you anywhere. That's the thing, that's what I'm really beginning to learn, that you never the only person who that damages is yourself.
Yeah, and you can try and people please as many people as you like and become the person that you think everyone likes. And even someone then won't like you. So what's the point?
Yeah,
So you've exhausted yourself and you've still got the same result.
yeah.
So you might as well just save yourself the exhaustion and have the confidence to say no. Like this is who I am, and this is just where I'm at, and it's okay if that's not for you. There's people I don't like, so why I feel so butthurt when someone doesn't like me is hilarious.
No, it's so true, it's like, I don't like them, but there's no biggie. I don't expect their life to be any less because I don't
No,
like them.
exactly. But it's almost like we can dislike other people, but we're so butthurt when people dislike us because it triggers something in us that
Yeah.
it's that people pleaser. But because I remember once, oh, sorry if you can keep hearing my things. Someone said to me, sent me a screenshot of one of those, lovely places where people are really kind
Tattle.
about everyone.
Yeah.
And the first thing I thought was, how can I change myself to make sure these people don't
Mm.
think this again? And one of them was something really ridiculous, like she never cooks for her kids. And so I for the next week, I was like, just making broccoli and spaghetti bolognese for dinner on my stories, right? Which is something I would have done anyway. But I suddenly felt this need to prove it.
Yeah.
Like, and I just thought, what am I? That person still hates me. Whether I give my
Mm.
kids an all organic, freshly cooked, straight off a farm dinner, they still won't like me.
Mm.
So why am I putting all this energy into trying to prove to them that I can be the person that
Mm.
they like? Because obviously they like people who do it this way, so I'll do it.
Well,
Why?
Anna Martha, who I'm sure you know,
Oh, I
she
love her.
rather than like positive affirmation, she says to herself in her head, "I'm gonna die and not everybody likes me. I'm gonna die and not everybody likes me." And once you kind of get those 2 things into your head and not recoil, because that, it's terrifying. They're the 2 most terrifying thoughts. You
Yeah.
can kind of get on with your life.
Yeah, and the last chapter of my book is dedicated to my friend Emma, who passed away. And part of the reason why I talk about her so much is because the biggest gift she ever gave me was is kind of encouraging me um when she was really poorly and when we knew the inevitable was going to happen. And she kind of just said, I've run out of time.
Mm,
I've run out of time to do things that I just thought would just I'd have time to do, and I don't have time to do them. Don't, all the fluffy stuff we worry about and care about genuinely does not matter what other
mm,
people think. The dress, the weight, all these things don't matter. And then you kind of get to a point where you're going to run out of time, and then suddenly you're like, why did I
what a waste.
waste it? And I talk about her so freely because, one, the lesson that she gave to me, I feel obliged to share with other people because it was life changing. And two, because I want people to know her name. She was an incredible person. And she did have all these things that she could have done and didn't get an opportunity to do. And we have to learn from that,
Mm,
and learn from those opportunities. And this isn't a case of making people feel guilty and guilt tripping people into being confident and happy and making decisions, but it's the real reality
mm,
that, like Anna says, I'm going to die. There's going to be a point where we're not going to have any time left.
mm,
And what I don't want to do is look back and think, oh, like, I wish I'd done that. I wish I
mm,
had the chance to do that. And Emma was a really confident person. Like, she was someone who just completely owned it anyway. She'd been like that since we were at school. But even then, in those days, there's still things that she wished she had a chance to do. And I
mm,
just wish we all took the opportunity to really sit back sometimes and go, what is really the worst that could happen if I make this decision? If I
mm.
really wear this top, what is the worst that's going to happen? If I make this decision about this promotion, or if I go for this job interview, what's the worst that's going to happen?
No.
What
But do you
is
think, 'cause, I think for me, I really grew up with this idea of being arrogance being something that you must avoid at all costs, and actually it's trying to understand the difference between arrogance and confidence, and is arrogance even just a thing that we project on people who are confident anyway?
Totally, because one of the things we've taught is humble is a good trait. Be humble, be humble, be humble, be small, make yourself small. It's a really
Mm,
lovely trait when someone's humble. So even when we do something really great, we're uncomfortable in celebrating ourselves.
mhm,
Even when it's absolutely warranted and deserved,
mhm,
we still can't. It's just like the most uncomfortable feeling. And even I've had that, even with my book, my friends have
yeah,
made a big deal about it. And I was like, "Ugh," like literally makes
mm,
my bum want to close. Like I can't. And I'm someone who's pretty confident who just wants to go out there, but it's because it's been drilled into us: be humble, be humble, be humble, And so you kind of go, oh yeah, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. No, it is a big deal. I wrote a goddamn book with 3 children. Like, why can't I just be like, yeah? And then if I do say, yeah, I'm a badass, like I did at the beginning, some people go, oh my God, she's so cocky. She
yeah,
said, but why? Why? Because we've been taught so much that being humble is a really positive thing.
yeah,
But it's okay to celebrate ourselves. And so what I started doing is when I come across someone who my immediate reaction is, "Oh my god, they're so up themselves, like,
mm.
they're so out
That's
there.
it, that's the
Why
language, isn't
yeah,
it, from school?
why am I why do I feel that way? What is it about their behavior
Yeah,
now that's triggering something in me that makes me feel uncomfortable?" One, it's normally because I wish I could probably be that loud and the
mm,
center of attention, and I'm not. Two, because I've been taught that we should be humble, so they're going against something that I believe to be
the right
the
way.
right way to behave. And three, 9 times out of 10, it's not because I'm necessarily jealous, but there's just something about that person that probably makes you gravitate towards them a little bit.
Mm,
And you're intimidated by that
mm,
because you almost want to be their friend but don't want to. And we do it all the time. So what I implore people to do is when you come across someone who is, like you say, our immediate reaction is they're arrogant, they're up themselves, they're being a bit much, or they're being so loud. Why? Self-reflect, turn that inwards. What is it about that behavior that's
mm.
frustrating you? Because you want to behave like that and you feel like you can't? Or because they're just really confident and that makes you uncomfortable because you wish you could?
And it's a
Like,
threat, isn't it? Like, that idea of
mm,
someone else taking up room, you automatically feel like they're encroaching on your space, but actually, there is actually room for everybody, but we've
oh,
been
100%. There always is. There's a bit in the book where I talk about going out with friends, and in our group of friends, there was one of the girls was far bigger than me at the time, and I remember her wearing really tight dresses, like really revealing. And at the time, I was like, "That is just not an appropriate thing to wear for her size. Like, oh my gosh, she shouldn't be wearing that." And I never verbalized
No.
any of it. I internalized it all. And I look back, I think, what a bitch. I was such a bitch. But I know for a fact it was because I was so envious of the fact that she looked amazing.
Mm,
And two, she had the confidence to just be who she wanted to be and wear what the hell she wanted to wear.
mm,
And I didn't have that. I was still trying to wear 6 pairs of like suck me in pants underneath my dress
mm,
and hope for the best and, not breathe or eat all day knowing that I'm going out that night. And she didn't care.
mm,
She didn't care. But the first immediate reaction to her was, "Oh, like, that's really not an appropriate thing to wear. Like, you really shouldn't wear that." Plus, we've just been taught that, haven't we? That if you're a
yeah,
certain size or body shape, there's certain things you shouldn't wear. And I just went with that instantly. And actually, when I looked inside myself years later, when I've been on this journey, I realized how much of my insecurity and frustration of not being able to be my true self was I projecting onto
mm,
her. And there's no denying it. She looked great.
mm.
I was just a hater.
'Cause I'm trying to, again, this is my own thing, I'm thinking, "Oh, but there may be such a thing as too overconfident." I think it's only bad if you've got no self awareness, but even that might be my own hang up, so I can't work it out.
I think it depends because there's people in the world that are, I guess, arrogant to some degree, but then I've kind of really got to a point where I'm like, who am I to question that?
Yeah.
And what makes me what makes me laugh is someone I read recently. I wish I had the confidence of a white male leader in the world today because they've got the confidence of I don't even know
Everyone.
who.
Yeah.
They make decisions. They turn up like Boris Johnson doesn't even brush his hair to go to work and has the confidence to go on telly and say whatever wild thing he's saying. Have that, like, if they've got that level of
Mm.
confidence, like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
you telling me that we can't wear the dress that we want to wear because we're too embarrassed? Don't be silly. Like, there's no way we can't have that confidence. Like, and I don't know, like you say, if there is a line or if a lot of it is just again what we're taught to
Mm.
believe.
Mm.
Um, but so for me, I just kind of self-reflect on everything. Are they really arrogant, or is arrogant just a way that I'm,
Mm.
perceiving them to be based on my own measure? Because the measurement of that scale, so to speak. So if we had a scale of not confident, confident, and arrogant, that scale is so personal, isn't it? So
Yeah.
what I believe each of those levels to be is going to be different to you, different to so and so, different. So what I perceive to be arrogant, you might just perceive to be confident.
Mm.
And what someone, so again, it's so personal that I just think, is there a measure? If not, and if someone makes you feel uncomfortable because of their behavior, you can only ever self-reflect.
Mm.
You can't change how people behave. So
No.
the only thing you can do is either one, make a decision that you don't want to behave that way because you don't like the way they make people feel, or you self-reflect and wonder why that triggers you and then do the work to understand that.
I'm also wondering, were you a confident child, do you think?
Yeah, I reckon I was probably one of those kids that got on everyone's nerves as well. Like,
Right in your faces.
yeah, like I like used to love doing school plays and stuff like that, and I was a pretty yeah. I don't recall being shy, and
Mm.
looking back at I was going to say videos because it is like VHS home
Yeah.
videos of myself. I was there wasn't anything to not be confident about. And actually, when I look at children, children are probably the best example of confidence in a lot of ways because they don't know shame. And they
Mm.
only know shame when they get to a certain age because we've put that on them.
Mhm.
So little things like if we're out and I realize my language and I might say to the kids, can you just stop doing that? You're being embarrassing. Or
Mm.
keep the noise down. You're being embarrassing. That is teaching them shame. There's shame
Mm.
in being loud. There's shame in making noise in this place.
Mm.
And there's a very different way of saying this place is a quiet space, so we've got to
That's
keep
it.
our voices down.
Mm. It's not
Is
on you.
yeah, it's saying you're saying the same thing, but you're suddenly not creating shame. And so kids, I think, are very, pretty much all the kids are confident when they're really little,
They are.
because they don't really have fear or shame. They don't know those things until something happens that tells them otherwise.
Mm.
And they're such good examples of that. So I think my journey to stop being like that was when I hit my teens. And then suddenly you care about everyone and everything.
Mm.
Um, and you start looking at partners, whether that's boys, girls, or whoever, and caring about what they think of
Mm.
you and all of that stuff. And that's when I think it really got worse, and then I went to work, and gosh, the workplace is that's fun. Um,
Mm.
had a really awful time, and then it just gets worse and worse, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then the thing is because that was the thing I was interested about. Because as you said at the beginning, when I think confidence, my first place, and I guess it's the bit that's in the public sphere a lot, is body confidence, which, we've
Mm,
talked around that a lot, but there are so many different places, and again, you've been on this journey: financial confidence, confidence within a workplace, confidence within relationships, sexual confidence. There's so many,
mm,
yeah, academic confidence, and you can have one that chips away at the rest, I think, and
yeah.
often when it all falls, it all begins to fall apart, doesn't it? And I've known that when my confidence is gone, when I've been in a situation where I've previously felt quite assured, and you're like, I don't even know what my instincts are telling me here now. It means that something's up.
Yeah, and so one of the things and the reasons why I think it's not just body confidence related is because I've worked in recruitment and HR for over a decade, and I cannot tell you the amount of people who I know have been way qualified for the job, but they cannot do the interview because they are not confident enough to go in and say, I deserve to be here, I'm going to give this my best shot. And it breaks my heart when people do that because I've either been the person coaching them to go into their interview or I've been the person interviewing them. And so many people I've sat opposite and I've almost wanted to shake and be like, you can totally do this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm ready to give you this job, but you have to show me that you can
And
take it.
also give the real I was talking to a friend about this yesterday, give the real answer you want to give, not the answer that you think I want to
Yeah.
hear, because the real answer is the one.
Absolutely. And but people haven't got the confidence to do that. So I used to find myself being really like coachy at work, like in recruitment, because I just want people to understand that they've so got and often in a job, the person who was the most confident can sometimes get the job over the person who probably is qualified to do it in some
Mm,
respect because they couldn't evidence that. Your interviews, you evidencing your knowledge and you're evidencing what we already know based on your CV or your skill
mm,
set. So you're evidencing that to us. If you can't evidence that to us, it doesn't matter what it says on paper. And that isn't for every interview going, and it's not to make people really nervous, but it's a real example of when people have walked in and said, actually, I don't know how to do that, but do you know what? This is what I want to do, and this is
mm,
how I see it. And that sort of confidence is like people go, oh, brilliant, like great. So I just wish people get it. So I see so much in that sphere about confidence, let alone, the people who want to jump into a bikini and go on the beach. Like it has such a
mm,
huge, it covers such a wide, vast, and that's why I said at the beginning, it impacts so many areas of your life you don't even consider.
mm,
I know people who won't even go for a promotion. So I don't know, you sit in a work and there's a job opportunity available and you talk yourself out of it before you've even sent an
mm.
application. No point, I'm not going to get it. What's the point? Nah, I'm not going to get it. I just, nah, there's no point. And you're like, what?
You're the perfect person for this.
Yeah, but they haven't even got the confidence to start that, and a lot of that is because you don't want to deal with the shame of either if you don't get it, or you don't want to deal with disappointment.
Mm,
So, and a lot of the disappointment comes with shame because, like most people, you tell everyone you're going for an interview, don't you? You tell everyone you're going for a job, and then if you don't get it for any reason, you've got to
mm,
then you feel bad disappointing everyone.
mm,
So again, it all comes back down to shame and feeling bad about it, but there's no shame in not getting an opportunity
mhm,
ever. It's always going to be a learning
mm,
opportunity. You can grieve it, feel bad about it, and then move on to the next one. But we're held back by that feeling, and we're held back by the just having the confidence to say, "Well, I'm going to go for it whether I get it or not,
yeah.
but I'm going to do it anyway."
Yeah, and you never know unless you try, do you?
And it's only when I started kind of taking that up on myself and going, "Do you
Mm,
know what? I'm gonna go for it." And then I did get an opportunity, and then, like we said before, it starts building up this little pool of evidence to
mhm,
yourself that you can do it. So then I'd get a little promotion here, or and then I think, "Do you know what? I could do
why
it, so
not?
let me try again."
Mm,
Yeah, and so you go for another one, and that's how it creeps up over time. You're almost building this little bank of evidence to prove that you are capable,
mhm.
you can do it, but you're never gonna know that until you try.
No, and you've got to try and learn to flex that, again, going back to your book, in kind of everyday situations, don't you? Like, having a
Yeah.
go at putting yourself slightly out there, because eh, and you know
What
what?
is the worst that could happen?
Yeah, and the worst case is never it's rarely that bad, because even if you don't get the job, that comes through in a quiet little email in your inbox, and you go, "Okay,
Yeah. And you
That
can feel bad about it and
yeah.
feel rubbish because it is, frustrating when you don't get something you want. But then you can also take that as a learning opportunity and say, okay, what did I not do that I need to do next time?
Mm,
And what can I do next time? But I often ask myself, what is the worst that could happen? When I did my show, I was like, the worst thing that could happen here is that no one buys a ticket and turns up. Or just my mum. My mum sat in the audience with like my auntie. Like that's it. That's the worst that could happen. And that was a risk I took. And then I thought, okay, so even if that's the worst thing that can happen, I just cancel. If no tickets sell,
mm,
I cancel. So there's always going to be a solution, but that's the worst thing that could happen. And it sold out. And that's not to be really cocky and be like, haha, but it did what I never expected it to
yeah.
do. But I had the courage to try, and then I had the confidence to say, I'm going to just go for it. Let me just go for it and see. And I would never have known that was a possibility for
No.
me if I hadn't have just had the confidence to say, let's just
Give
let's
it a
just
go.
try it. Yeah. And maybe it would have been embarrassing having to cancel because no one bought a ticket, but everyone would have forgot about it.
Yeah. And also nobody else, like, again, we've all got to remember no one else really cares about anyone else's life. Nobody cares. So
Only on a surface level because it's something
yeah.
to talk about, but
But
that's
if you never
it.
mentioned the show again, took it down from wherever you sold it and just like swept it under the carpet,
Moved
only
on.
you would know.
There'll be the odd person a couple of years ago. Do you remember that one time?
No.
Shh,
Don't know
we
what you're
don't talk
talking
about
about.
that. We don't talk about that. And then that's it. But I just want people to know that it is so possible. But my hard work is done. I wrote the book. The hard work is the readers now,
Mm,
and that sounds really awful, but it is hard work. It's not easy, but it is work. I don't want people to think, oh, I'm just going to read it and put it down. Because I said to Trevor, I remember one of my biggest worries about the book was people are going to read it, expect their lives to change overnight. And when it
mhm,
doesn't, say the book was crap. And that I was like, they're going to think the book's really bad. And the problem is it's not a reflection of me. I wrote it, but you've got to do the work.
mm,
You've got to be prepared to take time to do the self reflection, to understand things about yourself, to get uncomfortable with some of those feelings, to do the guided talk. Like it's work. It's work. And that's not to say anyone fails if they don't change their lives, but have the patience to do it because it's not an overnight
mm.
job. Like it genuinely isn't.
No, it's I that's what I find kind of the interesting cycle. We see it in children, this confidence, and then we lose it in our teens. And I really feel, again, especially as I'm now hit 40 and I can see what 50 might be like and 60, hopefully. And you kind of, your job is to piece yourself back together and show up more as yourself in every situation. And then it becomes it's better, but you have to flex it. You have to fight with your
Mm,
own instinct to go, oh my word, this is really awkward. I'm applying for that job, or I'm putting on the bikini. Because I know myself from like when I start occasionally, I don't do it very much anymore, put myself in bikinis on Instagram. Don't think that that feels easy and good, but I know it's an important thing to push against.
And I was like that at first. Now I genuinely think I
Okay.
look so good. I'm going to put this on. And if someone else doesn't like it, I really don't give a. Because the most I worry about now, my pants, is if my bush ain't hanging out my knickers.
Yeah.
Like, just
Yeah.
because I don't want, just like,
It's
come on,
good to
Jess.
keep
There's
that.
a, yeah, just keep that a bit tame. That's the only thing that I literally, honestly, if I do a video, I edit it. Like, I'm literally looking if there's any like flash of a nip or
Yeah.
a flash of something that shouldn't be there. But that's it. Everything else, I genuinely couldn't care less. And again, what's the worst that can happen? I put a video of myself out there in my pants. What's the worst? Someone's going to tell me they don't like it. All right, well then don't have a body like mine.
And
I,
it's only ever gonna be your body.
yeah, I don't care. And one of the things I used to say was, well, my body's, created for children. So, and yeah, it has, but that doesn't just give it its worth just because
No,
it's
really
created for
important.
children. My worth isn't just completely based on that. Like your body doesn't have to do that for it to be worthy of respect and love. It just has to exist.
Mm,
And I've fallen short of that a lot of times where I go, well, it's given me fortune, and it has, and it's a great body, and it has done incredible things for me, but it also just exists, and
yeah,
it's okay to love it, and it's worthy of the respect, just just simply because of that, not because of anything else. And yeah, I think I just want people to be able to do that. There's just so many incredible mums out there not taking pictures with their children,
yeah.
or going on the holiday or wearing the thing that they want to wear or even going to the event in the first
Mm,
place, and who've got incredible business ideas and don't want to take the chance on themselves. And I just wanted to do something that would hopefully even, change a couple of people to say, I am going to try. Let
Mm,
me just try. I'm going to wear that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to send that email. I'm going to ask that guy. I'm going to say yes to that date. I'm going to, whatever it looks like for
mm,
someone. But they do something that just makes them make a decision that makes them own it and have a better or happier version of themselves
that's it,
so
isn't
that
it?
they can do whatever it is. And I say all the time that I just want people to become the people that they are capable of being and deserve to be because they're already capable of doing it. It's just unlocking that part of you that believes that you're capable of doing it, so you go for it.
That's 100% it. I think that is like a really perfect place to end. This isn't trying to upgrade you into something that you're not. And
No.
also I think it's important to caveat that confidence isn't always showing up loudly. That, the most amazing trait is when you see someone who just embodies confidence in a very you can still be humble and confident, can't you? But
Mm.
it's something in that very grounded sense of knowing who they are, what they like, and what they're able to do.
Yeah, and it's like when people wear stuff that they like that we were like, oh my gosh, bright colors or really stylish. I have a real sense of style, a really specific sense of style, and they walk down the street. They're not walking down the street shouting, but you look at them and they know who they are.
Yeah.
They're owning who they are. They're wearing what they like, doing what they like, and just walking down the street.
Mm.
And I'm always in awe of those people because it's the people who, like you said, you don't have to be screaming it from the top, but you don't have to be in your knickers on the internet. Like that's not what this is about. That might be my way of showing it.
Yeah.
That might be my way of trying to inspire and encourage, but that's not one the only way or two a way that you have to do it. It's just about being comfortable in who you are and loving yourself enough to honor those decisions for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, as ever, I always want to cry, but it's so true that life is short, and if you don't back yourself, yeah, it's the only person who's that's to the detriment of it is yourself.
Hmm. Absolutely.
I'm trying to also take you seriously when just suddenly remembering that you are wearing your children's headphones.
I am literally like, honestly, and do you know what? I'm here with my whole chest with my toddler headphones on and the brightest cardigan. Like, yeah, so what? I'm still dropping those gems for you, Clemmy. I'm still
Doesn't matter.
talking what I need to talk about
Yeah,
in my
exactly.
toddler headphones. And yeah, it is just like again, it's what it is. Like I am who I am, and that I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
And I just want to lead by example to my children because they'll do what you do, not what you say.
that
And so I need to show them that if mummy is unapologetic in who she is, then they can be too.
yeah, that's it, isn't it? I look at my kids and I think, don't ever stop being exactly who you are. And the only way to do that is to try and model that for them without a doubt.
Exactly. Yeah.
Obviously, also do be quiet when we're in a place which
Oh,
requires being.
100%. Like, just be yourself when you leave the house at
Mm.
18 because right now, mummy can't handle
Oh, I know, I
Mummy can't
know.
handle it.
I'm
So
really
just
glad that you're
just chill for a bit.
spirited humans, but could you just do it a bit
Do
less
it once you've
often?
left home.
Oh, it's tiring. Jess, I've got 2 more questions before we go.
Yes.
Where can people find you?
At the Fat Funny One, pretty much anywhere, even on the TikTok,
Yes, they are.
the Facebook. Oh my gosh, I sound like my mum. The Facebook, it's on the Facebook, and on the Instagram. Yeah, so at the Fat Funny One, pretty much everywhere. And then obviously my book is online at all the relative retailers, Waterstones, to Richmond,
Wherever you buy
Amazon.
books.
Yeah,
And
wherever you
my
buy your
final
books.
question is always, if you could have an honest conversation with one person, who would it be and what would you say? Banger,
What a
hey?
question!
I've had some
Yes.
hilariously varied answers to this.
Oh my gosh. Okay, okay. Oh my gosh, where do I go with this? Really honest conversation with someone. I don't know whether I really want to be funny here or just no, really serious. I don't know.
Don't overthink it. Go with whoever popped into your head.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I should. Should I say no? I'm not going to say that person. Um,
Wow, you can say an anonymous person and what we
no. Do you know
okay.
what? I would have. I don't know. I don't know.
You're editing yourself here, but this is
I'm
hilarious.
totally. I am. I am like my brain is going 7,000 miles an hour. No, I'm gonna be really honest. The first thing that came into my head was I'd probably have a really honest conversation with my dad. So my biological dad. So I only met him when I was 27.
Wow.
I'm 33 this year. And we've, we get along. That's great. But we've not had the conversation about where the fuck are you, mate?
Mm.
We've not had that conversation. And actually, if I could sit down with
Yeah.
someone and have a really honest conversation, it would be him. And it would be that. And I think that is part of my journey and probably part of my healing as to who I am and why I am who I am.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'll go with my gut and be completely honest. Why not? That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
came into my head.
there you
And I
go.
censored myself, and I'm
Yeah,
not
you
going to
did.
do that.
You did,
I totally try to censor myself, but actually, what I'm saying isn't harmful to anybody. It's
no.
the truth, and it's my truth. And if that makes someone else uncomfortable, that's not my business.
Well, no, I mean, you've not said anything controversial that other than that
No,
you'd like a
not at all. I
chat.
think a lot of people can relate to that. A lot of people haven't had their parents in their lives all their lives, and it's a very difficult conversation to have. But if I could, and actually, what I should do is say I do have the opportunity to do that
Yeah,
because
there you
they're at
go.
the other end of the phone. But yeah, that's the conversation I'd have.
There you go, Jess, I didn't see that. I mean, I've also had people say, God, their dog,
Oh, I'd
very
love to chat to my dog. I actually would. I genuinely think he does talk though. Like, and I think animals talk to each other, and I think it's hilarious. I think he's a little bit ghetto, and he's like a bit funny, and like he's like 18 months, but he's huge. I'm surprised he's not barking actually. And I just reckon he's like, "Yo, mum, what's up?
But
Let's
what
go,
happens if
let's
he's
go."
not? What happens if he's got a completely different identity,
I
you know?
know. Wouldn't you just love to hear what they sound like?
There you go, you can have that one off the person. But the person it was a chief shepherdess, and she was like, "I just want them to the dog to tell me whether it genuinely likes me or whether it's just using me because I feed it." I was like, "Yeah, but Zoe, you've got to brace yourself for the fact that if it gives you the answer that you don't want, which is
Yeah, if
just."
the dog's like, "I'm just here because I have to be, mate, because you make me stay here. I don't want to be here." I do think my dog like probably curses me sometimes. Like if I go to the door, "Oh, you're going out, but without me, stupid cow."
There you
Like I
go.
do think he says that. But yeah, that's a
Um,
really good one.
yeah, it is. There you go. Go and have a chat with your dog. Thank you so much for taking an hour out of your unbelievably busy life,
Oh, this has been heavenly.
hasn't it? I hope I see you in real life soon.
Yes, please.
It's coming back, isn't it? I feel like those things are gonna come back, hopefully.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah,
I
alright.
hope so.